Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Masters in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In today's episode, welcome to Eclipse Season 2022. I'll talk about the eclipses of April through May 2022. We kick off the 2022 eclipse season with a solar eclipse on April 30th, followed by a full moon lunar eclipse on May 16th, 2022. Stay tuned to find out how these eclipses will affect you. Welcome to the episode on eclipses of April through May 2022. Here we go. Eclipses are harbingers of big changes. This is a powerful window of time which will have repercussions in the upcoming months as we witness changes in our personal and collective lives. When discussing eclipses, it is important to explain the significance of the signs in which they are occurring. The new moon solar eclipse of April 30th, 2022 occurs in the sign Taurus. The lunar eclipse of May 16th, 2022 activates Scorpio with a full moon in Scorpio with the sun in Taurus. As you can see, the signs of Taurus and Scorpio are directly affected by these upcoming eclipses. So if you're born with your sun in Taurus or Scorpio, hang tight, your world may get rocked. But everyone has Taurus and Scorpio in their birth chart somewhere, so it's important to know where those signs are located in your natal chart and if you have any planets there. Please consult your seasoned astrologer, Jill Jardine, who has been reading charts for many moons and eclipses at jilljardineastrology.com. So you Taurians and Scorpions are on high alert due to eclipses occurring in your signs in 2022. In astrology, Scorpio and Taurus are money signs. Taurus in our chart indicates our value system and resources, which includes money we make, where we like to spend our money on, and how we cultivate resources and what we value. Scorpio in astrology relates to shared resources, money we receive from others, partners' money we receive from unknown sources such as through insurance or inheritances or other things like a lottery. But Scorpio also rules death, transformation, and rebirth. So with the solar eclipse of April 30th activating Taurus, there will be many issues regarding money or lack of resources and the economy. This eclipse precurses economic concerns in late 2022, including the end of extreme speculation, such as with the real estate market and other extravagant spending or gambling. We are on the verge of a looming recession. Taurus can be more of a scarcity consciousness sign, where the polar opposite, Scorpio, is more abundance consciousness. We need to find the middle ground at this eclipse season. Most Taurians I know are frugal and thrifty with their money, while the Scorpios I have met seem to possess more of a prosperity consciousness of knowing that when money goes out, it also flows back in. Hoarding or holding too tight to money tends to stop the flow of prosperity. Scorpio is a water sign, so they tend to view money more as tides. It comes in and flows out. But if you keep spending and earning, the flow can grow. The new moon solar eclipse in Taurus on April 30th is a partial eclipse. So the darkness is less, but the shadows are looming. Perhaps many feel their wealth may be eclipsed at this new moon and in the coming months, with the rising costs of everything and the drops in the stock market and cryptocurrency markets. The sun and moon in Taurus are conjunct erratic Uranus at this solar eclipse. We have to brace for the unexpected as Uranus hits like lightning, bringing rapid change to the stability of Taurus. However, Uranus will help us if we take an unconventional approach to finances, such as investing in new inventions or enterprising endeavors that will benefit us in the future. The conjunction of Uranus with the Sun and Moon in Taurus at this solar eclipse bodes well for all types of new technologies and will give a big boost to the cryptocurrency markets in the coming months, as well as those coins that have staying power into the future. Where cryptocurrency is ruled by Aquarius, and Aquarius's planetary ruler is Uranus, we will see that any kind of future-driven or visionary type of currency will be getting a boon in these eclipse seasons to start rising 3 months after the actual eclipses. So I would advise my cryptocurrency listeners to get ready in August and September when the markets will start rallying and have a big boost. There is another alignment during this solar eclipse new moon that boosts that cryptocurrency trajectory going upward. The good omen at the eclipse is that the two benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter, are conjunct in the exact degree of Pisces. They got together on April 12th and will still be holding court through the end of April. This heralds the coming of a new age, when our needs will be met if we connect to the higher laws of prosperity or lift our consciousness out of third dimensional lack into fifth dimensional abundance. Venus is the depositor of the moon at this new moon, which gives hope if we look for our security internally instead of externally. This solar eclipse new moon occurs at 10 degrees Taurus. The Sabian symbol for 10 degrees Taurus is a Red Cross nurse. The keynote is the compassionate linking of all men. This speaks to the conjunction of Jupiter and Venus in Pisces, the sign of compassion. Compassion in action and an attitude of gratitude will see us through these economically challenging times. As we go forth, we prosper, if that is our belief system. Connect with your transpersonal heart and seek unity within and without at this new moon. On May 16th, 2022, at 12:13 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States, the Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse occurs. So do the calculations in your time zone to see when it will occur. This Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse is a total eclipse of the moon. There is much going on beneath the surface, and hidden content will arise. At this full moon, Pluto, Scorpio's ruling planet, is trining and aligning with the full moon, both the sun and moon. So the fallout from this lunar eclipse could be Plutonian, which means more death. The Sabian symbol for the full moon lunar eclipse is 25 degrees Scorpio, which means an X-ray photograph. The capacity to acquire a knowledge of the structural factors in all existence. But think about an X-ray. What does it show you? You can't see what an X-ray shows you on the surface. If you have an ailment internally in one of your organs, you're not going to know that unless you see an X-ray of it. So this is a very powerful symbol for this full moon lunar eclipse on May 16th. Again, the theme of some things that have been hidden and that can't be seen on the surface will be exposed and revealed. The internal workings of situations, relationships, and other circumstances will be revealed. Get ready. This full moon in Scorpio on the full moon lunar eclipse opposes the Sun and Uranus in Taurus. This signifies that there is not just one issue regarding the economy, but it is multifaceted. The oppositions indicated that there can be conflicts and unexpected disruptions. Scorpio, as well as indicating shared finances, is ruled by the planet Pluto, whose domain is death, rebirth, and transformation. So this Scorpio Taurus full moon on May 16th, 2022, portends more death with people leaving their bodies in the coming months. Remember, the fallout from eclipses is very active for the 3 months immediately following the eclipses. And a lot of things happen right when the eclipse is occurring in the day leading up, the day of, and the day after. So during the upcoming months, we may notice that more celebrities are passing away. Every night on TV, you'll find out who are they having memoriam for. But the fact that many celebrities are passing away, they're just a fragment of society. That indicates that in the general population, more people are dying. The nodes of the moon shifted into Scorpio, South Node, and Taurus, North Node, on January 19th, 2022. Since this time, we have seen many people dying suddenly and unexpectedly. I know of at least 10 people who have passed away since then. These eclipses are very soulful on many levels, not only the decision to stay in the body or leave, but it is a time of decision on our soul's path. Many souls may decide to stay on the earth plane or transition to higher dimensions. Many will leave their bodies, but many will decide to ride the waves of transformation on Earth as she evolves from her third dimensional form into a fifth dimensional frequency. Or they may hang out in the third dimensional matrix and weather all the turbulence there. This eclipse provides the energies for rapid transformation and evolution. So we may see many people awakening and shifting consciousness at this time. Now I'm going to review what is the difference between lunar and solar eclipses and what is what I label ecliptic fallout or the aftermath of eclipses. In astrology, throughout the ages, eclipses were feared and they indicated a change. Usually it was a regime change. Eclipses occur up to 4 to 6 times a year, usually in a cluster of 2 or 3 throughout 1 month. And then the companion eclipses occur 6 months later. Usually we experience 4 eclipses in 1 year. However, there can be up to 6 eclipses in 1 year, as experienced in 2020, which is probably why it was such a difficult year. We were eclipsed. Eclipses always trigger big changes. Why are eclipses such a big deal and game changes both personally and collectively? Well, because they set up a new pattern of focus depending on where the eclipse happens, what signs. And so this current cycle and the other 2 that are going to occur in October and November of 2022 are lighting up the signs of Taurus and Scorpio, which are financial signs. So we're going to see more shifts and changes in the economic arenas. And also you need to be noticing how close an eclipse may happen to your birthday, or even 6 months exactly away from your birthday. If an eclipse occurs on your birthday, or if you're born 6 months. So for this coming one on May 16th, if you're born around the 15th, 16th, or 17th of May, you're going to get activated. So are you if you're born on the 15th, 16th, or 17th of November, which is Scorpio. But they may also affect other planets in your chart if they are in those degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. So that's something you should know. It's always good to be educated to see if you're going to have a planet activated by the degree of an eclipse, because you're going to have some big changes in your life. And again, this is when you consult your wise and friendly astrologer, Jill Jardine, astrology.com, so you can see if any of the upcoming eclipses are going to affect you personally by activating a personal planet in your chart. In general, what eclipses tend to do is that they can take things away from us, hide something, or even reveal something that was hidden from you. Lunar eclipses tend to take things away, while solar eclipses tend to expose or reveal something that was hidden. Eclipses certainly affect the collective consciousness, our country, our society, and the world at large. They mark turning points for collective humanity. They indicate change and big shifts that come in for better or for worse. And they also show us what we should look at for the next 6 months following the eclipse. I've noticed it usually takes the month or even 2 months out to see the result of an eclipse pattern, whether it's in your personal or collective life. There's a reason why the ancients, our ancestors, feared eclipses. For one thing, they saw them as big fires in the sky, or they would see the sun disappear or the moon disappear, a ring around the sun. They were quite visual spectacles for the ancient people, who had to view this without even eyeglasses or telescopes. So usually after eclipses in ancient times until this day, there are regime changes or big shifts or mass situations or uprisings in a country or the world. Remember what happened in 2020. The whole world was affected by the pandemic. Our health was eclipsed as the global society took the brunt of a pandemic. In the past, eclipses would trigger fear in people because sometimes the natives knew their country would be beset by invading marauders who came and burned down their villages. Eclipses were also precurses to weather anomalies or big weather shifts, as well as earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, and other weather phenomena. And this holds true still today. So now I'm going to discuss lunar eclipses, which are considered more malefic than solar eclipses. A lunar eclipse occurs on a full moon when the sun and moon are in opposite signs. So already there's the tension and pull of polarity of opposite zodiac signs. Astronomically, the Earth is exactly between the sun and the moon. We can see the Earth's shadow affecting the color of the moon, which can sometimes turn reddish, orangey, brown, or gray during a lunar eclipse. There was a series of orange full moons back in 2015 and 2016, and look what happened in the U.S. Think back now, there was a big election. These were all lunar eclipse blood moons, a rarity in astronomy and astrology. At a lunar eclipse blood moon, the gravitational pull is felt very strongly on planet Earth. And if you remember back, we also had quite a few earthquakes and big changes that came after blood moons. Blood moons would put fear into the hearts of our ancestors. Ancient astronomers viewed them as harbingers of change and precursors to tough times and regime changes. So the collective consciousness is certainly affected by powerful lunar eclipses, but so are the people. People get very emotional at lunar eclipses. We can see the range of emotions from anger, fear, rage, and jealousy coming to the surface. I'm sure that there's been studies done that there is more road rage with a full moon lunar eclipse. People's shadow side emerges and it's not pretty. Relationships can take a toll during eclipses and the fallout after them. as many relationships can break up and big changes occur and secrets are revealed too. That secret affair becomes not so secret. So this leads me to another point about eclipses, which I want to share. I call it eclipse fallout. In fact, it is suggested that eclipses can be so malefic that Vedic astrologers say don't go out during a lunar eclipse. Stay inside, and if you can, meditate or pray. Also, on a solar eclipse, it is advised to not look directly at the sun or stay inside if possible. So, what is this eclipse fallout? As I mentioned earlier, lunar eclipses can take things away from us, both personally and collectively. Also, there are big things that happen during what I call the eclipse window. In the weeks leading up to an eclipse and for 2 months after, even up to 3 months after, many people may die and leave their bodies during these eclipse windows. Also, people can detect lots of disease and disorders that were previously undiagnosed during eclipses and the windows. Also, many powerful souls incarnate during eclipse windows. But for those who do die or leave their bodies during an eclipse window, it's like a big portal open between the earth and higher dimensions. Usually, many people who do die in the eclipse aftermath have been waiting for a way to exit from this lifetime fast. And that's when we see a lot of people do die very suddenly and unexpectedly. Maybe they didn't even show symptoms that they were ill. So there can be a lot of shocks around the eclipse time. In fact, there are what we call the aftershocks of things like earth changes. Earthquakes occur quite a bit after eclipses, as do weird weather phenomena during or after the eclipses, such as tornadoes and hail, hurricanes, tsunamis, and other weather patterns of biblical portions sometimes. As I said, there's a big window to the higher dimensions that can open after eclipses, and souls leave their body through this galactic portal of higher vibration. And these portals also create heightened celestial vibrations on our planet, which can raise your consciousness and shift your vibration if you've been working at it, or it can be so spontaneous you don't even know what happened, but you're looking through different eyes. And as I mentioned, eclipses are precursors to big earth changes. Solar eclipses aren't considered as malefic as lunar eclipses. Solar eclipses usher in new beginnings. The electromagnetic radiations are felt worldwide during solar eclipses. Sometimes around solar eclipses, we have a preponderance of solar flares, or there are sunspots on the actual sun in our galaxy that affect us here on Earth. What solar eclipses do for us as people on this planet spinning in space is that they shine light on what has been hidden from individuals or our collective society. The astrological phenomena that brings solar eclipses, or the astronomy of a solar eclipse, is when the moon lines up directly between the earth and the sun. They always happen at new moons. Astrologically, when the sun and the moon are conjunct, as we say in astrology, they're in the same sign. So you're going to see an activation of that sign in your chart. So if you are born around April 30th or a couple days before or after that, this coming solar eclipse is going to be very important for you. It usually takes us a month or two to understand how the eclipse is going to trigger, or even to see on the big level what the new beginning is going to be for our society. The moon can block out the sun's light at a solar eclipse, distorting our sense of reality. Therefore, do not make any big decisions at a solar or lunar eclipse, as your clarity can be obscured, just like the sun or moon being obscured, and there can also be confusion. Eclipses clean the slate. Whether the slate is your mind, your experiences, your relationship, or whatever it is, especially if you had intentions to release these things anyway. So if we constructively use that energy of knowing a new beginning is coming with a solar eclipse and wait a few days or even weeks before we start on our path, we can implement the next phase in our life. Sometimes the solar eclipse opens up opportunities to follow that new directive. On a collective level, solar eclipses are a very interesting time to see what shows up in the media. Lots of secrets are revealed, and people will be exposed. Solar eclipses force growth, and they tend to activate one sign of the zodiac because the sun and moon are together there. So think about your financial life, your resources, how you want to look at your economic situation personally, and what are changes you can make to release the dead wood and focus on your true value system. This is a good way to use the energy of the upcoming eclipses in April and May of 2022. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the upcoming eclipses in April and May 2022. Remember to download, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, signing out, sending celestial healing ecliptic vibrations through the quantum field.